What up, you guys? Happy Saturday. Welcome to your Saturday morning in the car with Star, brought to you as always by Ash Gregoire Chambre de Nissan, Quebec's #1 rated Nissan dealership. We're online at littlebearonline.com for all your pets needs in the car. 10, the promo code, and of course, K-Stop Gas Bar, Depiner, Highway 138 in Ganawage. I was just there this morning, gassing up at, of course, a premium fuel at discount prices. Happy Saturday on this game day. The Montreal Canadiens in action against the Vegas Golden Knights after the Montreal Canadiens just completed a 4-game road trip. And they won 5 of the 8 games, took 5 of the 8 points, I should say, as right now the Canadiens have the most potent #1 line I've seen them have in what feels like 20 years, with Nick Suzuki and Cole Caulfield and Kirby Dach doing a lot of the heavy lifting, with Cole Caulfield now 7 goals and 12 points, picked up a pair of assists in the overtime loss at the hands of the Winnipeg Jets. And what was Kyle Connor's first goal of the NHL season, right? And Kirby Dach's got 2 goals. He looks like he fits in so well alongside Nick Suzuki and Cole Caulfield. The Canadiens have 30 goals. Caulfield has 7 of them. Nick Suzuki has 6 of them. And combined, those two guys have 25 points. So, yeah, if we're talking about a dominant line, a line we haven't seen by the Montreal Canadiens in what feels like a lifetime, yeah, I think we're all on the same page there. And look, a lot of talk this week has surrounded the Montreal Canadiens' winning percentage, how many points they're picking up. We just finished watching them play real competitive hockey on the road for 4 games, and they were in it. I mean, this is the line Martin St. Louis is delivering, and I am for it. I am here for it. Always in the fight. And if we go back to the beginning of the preseason, when we were wondering about, the complexion of this team, how are they going to stay competitive? Were they going to be competitive? Everyone that I seem to speak with had the bar of expectation really, really low. Maybe, I don't think it ever got off the ground floor. I think it's fair to say it's time to move the goalposts a little bit, that the expectations are better than most of us thought. I'm not going to say all of us, because I'm sure there's a couple of diehard, passionate Habs fans out there that no matter what, this team was always going to be primed to win the Stanley Cup. But nevertheless, I think for the realistic Canadian fan, seeing how the roster was built, what was at stake, what the division looked like inside the Atlantic, what the conference looked like, that it was fair to say without Carey Price, the Montreal Canadiens were going to be, climbing uphill for the majority of the season. So for the team to look as competitive as they've looked based on our own expectations on what we thought, I am not ready to deploy the infamous panic button 11 games into the start of the season. Why? Because as good as Cole Caulfield look, as good as Nick Suzuki looks, what really keeps me grounded is the goaltending. And Sam Montembeault against Winnipeg, he was fantastic. Look, this is the guy that's coming off a 43 save performance in his previous start, and he was very good against the Winnipeg Jets, and he's been very good out of the gate to start the season. But you know what it's like for me? It's like when I'm going out there and I'm playing golf with friends, and some guy tells me he's a 15 handicap and he's even par through 6 holes. You know what generally happens? The guy ultimately shoots his handicap. And that's what I think is going to happen with the goaltending in Montreal. Injuries aside, I am a strong believer in the law of averages. And while Sam Montembeault is strong out of the gate, I think Jake Allen is very composed. I think he sounds very smart. I think he sounds very calm. He sounds like a guy who's fully aware of the environment that he's in, and the stakes are low. And he's taking on, I get the impression that Allen is taking on this mentorship role. So I think hockey has slowed down a lot for Jake Allen. But ultimately, these guys are playing out of their shoes. They're playing out of their shoes. They're playing great hockey. They're getting some of the best goaltending consistently in the National Hockey League. So is that something that, when I look at the Montreal Canadiens over the bigger picture, the large scale of 82-game sample size, no. I don't think this is going to be the status quo from here on home. So that alone gives me pause to believe that the Montreal Canadiens taking 5 out of a possible 8 points is not something that is going to be consistent over the course of 82 games. There's going to be a wall. They're going to hit it. How are they going to overcome these hurdles? These are the challenges that Martin St. Louis and his coaching staff are going to learn, and they're going to have to overcome together. And I think it's going to be a fun ride, because so far it's been a great ride. And everything that Martin St. Louis has been saying after games, before games is correct. I have no problems with the way he's addressing the team, with the way he mixes and matches his lines. As we've told you consistently here on this channel, this is kind of that figure it out year. And with Nick Suzuki and Cole Caulfield leading the charge, that alone is worth the price of admission. And that alone is why the Canadiens are in the fight. That alone is why this team is fun to watch so far, 11 games into their season. It's kind of the recipe we were all hoping to see. Be tough to play against, lose some games, and be a tough out. And so far, check, check, check. The Canadiens have have hit all the marks there as far as I'm concerned with what I've seen. Now, it's a big task tonight with the Vegas Golden Knights in town. This is a tough team. This is a team poised to win a Stanley Cup. But as we've seen already against high caliber opposition with expectations on them, the Montreal Canadiens will not lay down. And I want to give Martin St. Louis all the credit in the world for making sure that his guys aren't intimidated, that his guys have confidence, and the team goes out there and plays like they've got everything on the line. And that's what I've seen so far. And I think, a word we've used to talk about Martin St. Louis is relatability. How can you not follow this guy into the thick of it, knowing that he's been there, done that? He's won everything there is to win in hockey. He's got the individual awards. He's got the team awards. And now he's there motivating and coaching you up. And this is what has made Martin St. Louis, for me, a home run. Success aside, it's the mentality, right? It's the approach to these games. It's the grounded point of view that I see regularly from Martin St. Louis that says the Canadiens are lucky, very lucky to have a guy like this in tow to help bring the next generation of Montreal Canadiens. And also, can we just say quickly here, how amazed are we by what Nick Suzuki has done this season? 6 goals, 13 assists. That goal he scored, when was that? Thursday night against Winnipeg. The give and go, the drop your shoulder, go to the net. What? Who is this guy? Todd Bertuzzi, Peter Forsberg, power forward extraordinaire. I mean, that was just an unbelievable hockey IQ all across the board, from the start to how the goal ended up beating Connor Hellebuck to give the Canadiens a 1-0 lead at that point. I mean, that alone, we talk about price of admission. That's it right there, my friend. And he's doing this. And Nick Suzuki is doing this with the captaincy, with the C on his chest. Remember all that talk at the beginning of the season, you guys? Oh, Nick Suzuki, he can't do it. Nick Suzuki can't be the captain and digest this mammoth-sized contract that Mark Bergevin gave him. He can't do all of this, guys. He's getting it all too fast, too soon. It can't work. He's looking pretty good. He's looking pretty good with Cole Caulfield, and Caulfield's 7 goals and 2 assists. And it reminds me of a conversation I had with John Sedgwick of the Montreal Canadiens in the year after the Canadiens got Cole Caulfield, right? And we all knew, if anybody knew anything about Cole Caulfield, it was this. This guy could score goals. He was born to put the puck in the net. Everybody and their sister knew that about Cole Caulfield. But what John Sedgwick of the Canadiens front office at the time was telling me was that Cole Caulfield is more than just a pure goal scorer. Cole Caulfield is a playmaker. Cole Caulfield has vision. Cole Caulfield has wheels. Cole Caulfield checks a lot of boxes other than burying scoring opportunities. And look, I mean, let's not discount the fact that this guy can score more consistently than maybe any Canadian you and I have seen in our respective lifetimes. He's that good and that full value right now. Even so, I'm almost ready to talk long-term contract with Cole Caulfield and his 7 goals to start the season. But I think we're all starting to see a little bit more of what Cole Caulfield brings as a hockey player with the entire package. I think it's one thing for a guy like Caulfield to come in with the expectations of being a goal scorer. You want to keep things simple, right? It makes sense in my mind. It should in yours too, that, let's not get carried away. Just go out there, keep it simple, move the puck, find yourself in open situations, and bury your chances. Be a shoot-first guy. But now that he's started to do that and do it well and do it consistently, it makes sense in my mind to put a little bit more on his plate. And I think maybe that's what's going on. We've got some comments coming in. Let's see what we're saying. What's up, Steph? Finally, we have some live sports radio to talk about on Saturday morning. Yeah, good to be with you. I'm going to be doing more of this stuff on the weekend now that I have a little bit more time at my disposal. Some more NFL stuff as we move towards the halfway point of the NHL season. But I also want to talk quickly about the Montreal Canadiens and the trade market, because it seems as though, according to Pierre LeBrun, the TSN Hockey Insider reporting this week on Insider Trading, that Ken Hughes is priming the pump to make a deal. And it's funny because on Wednesday on the morning show with Connor McKenna and yours truly, when we had Darren Dreger, TSN Hockey Insider, Darren Dreger joins the morning show on TSN 690 every Wednesday, every Friday at 8:35. It's appointment radio. You have to listen. Dreger has his finger on the pulse of the National Hockey League, and we're lucky and we love having him on with us twice a week. But I asked Dreger on Wednesday about, are the Canadiens starting to make any moves? We got ourselves a little visitor. Are the Canadiens starting to make any moves? Is Ken Hughes picking up the phone? He's got 15 forwards. He's got a surplus. Evgeny Dodonov is not a happy guy. Well, now he's got an unspecified virus, so he's on IR, right? Guys are starting to come back. Yoel Armia, thank God Sam Mitchell, the former Raptors coach, isn't the coach of the Montreal Canadiens, because Yoel Armia is putting zeros on the board. 0, 0, 0. Why come to work when you're putting up 0, 0, 0? Stay home. So with the surplus of forwards, Jonathan Drouin, Mike Hoffman, Yoel Armia, Evgeny Dodonov, what's Paul Byron's status? What's going on there? There are a lot of questions and a lot of roster spots and not enough holes to fill all those players with. So I asked Aaron Jerger on Wednesday, are you hearing anything? Anything going on as far as Ken Hughes starting to put balls in the air to see if anybody is going to catch one? Wednesday, the answer was no. Thursday, insider training hits, and maybe the Washington Capitals because they lost their right winger, Connor Brown. And maybe Jonathan Drouin is that guy because, as Pierre LeBrun points out, when we talk about salary and we talk about the Montreal Canadiens, they're going to have to eat salary. And if Jonathan Drouin is the guy that maybe gets moved, it seems as though, financially speaking, he's logistically the guy. You know, if you're going to eat 50% of Jonathan Drouin's salary, we're talking about $2.75 million. That is a number the Washington Capitals can digest. That's a number the Capitals can absorb. And on the surface, it all makes sense. So it seems as though where there's smoke, there's fire. Remember, i.e. PK Subban and the day, that where there's smoke, there's fire. And then ultimately, we're starting to get to the point of the season where Ken Hughes is going to have to seriously consider making some moves. And also keep in mind that, as I started this segment with today, the Montreal Canadiens are back. They're on home ice taking on Vegas tonight. 4 games, 8 points. They brought home 5. I think the Canadiens are ultimately going to fall to the law of averages. And if this continues and I'm wrong, and then we're talking together in January, late mid-January, and we're talking about the Montreal Canadiens still picking up points, still being consistently competitive, what does that mean? What does that tell you? It tells me worst case scenario is on deck, and something has to happen to make sure that doesn't happen again. Because for this team to finish, 17th in the NHL, 15th in the NHL, heaven forbid, be a bubble team and just barely miss the playoffs, I'm talking like worst case scenario now, that can happen. It can happen. As much as I love to tell you I'm not wired to lose, I'm not wired to cheer and promote losing, the objective here has to be finding yourself at the bare minimum top 10. Brian Wild has told us on the TSN 690 morning show, top 8 is ultimately where you want to end up, and that's fine. And that's where I'm coming at you from. It's fun to see the Canadiens be competitive, energized, scoring goals, having fun out there on the ice, but you got to draft well. You cannot be a middling team that picks somewhere, 12th to 17th in the draft. That can't happen. That cannot happen. That is a absolute must avoid. Full stop across the board. Let's rock and roll. And game day on TSN 690. So looking forward to the Habs and Vegas Golden Knights tonight. A little Mick Cafe. Golf season in the process of winding down. We've got a lot of questions. Golf related on Ask Us Anything Fridays on the TSN 690 morning show. We didn't get to any of them, but I a couple of people wanted to know about golf shoes. I'm a big FootJoy guy. I am a golf shoe. I'm the Imelda Marcos of the golf shoe world. I have like 800 pairs of golf shoes. I love FootJoys. I love Nikes. I do lean towards FootJoys, but shop around. There's all kinds of deals to be had. And I do ultimately think that if you do play a lot of golf, golf shoes are outside of the golf club, perhaps the most integral part of your golf equipment, right? Lots of questions, lots of comments coming in. Mathieu, totally agree. Habs need to find a way to continue the development process without getting the W's and picking up that loser point like against Buffalo. And remember, they did that against the Winnipeg Jets. Merci, Mathieu. Comment ça va ce samedi-là? Piping in from Uzbekistan. What up, Sean Perry? Is the Dodonov worth anything better than a 5th or a 6th round pick if you're lucky? And part of me, like, Evgeny Dodonov is on IR. He has an unspecified virus. I think he has an unspecified appetite for playing for the Montreal Canadiens, if I'm being quite frank with you. Not that I have any insider information, nevertheless. I just think we're talking about a veteran player who realizes that he's on a team that isn't that competitive. He's on a team that is not going to make the playoffs. And he's an older player who wants to do something. And I get it. Like, you know what? It reminds me of, when Phil Kessel set the Ironman streak. And all these amazing stories were coming out about Phil Kessel from guys that played with him, that guys that played against him. And they were all, chiming in, pumping Phil's tires, which is great. And one of the stories they told us about was when Kessel was he was in Arizona and he felt lost. And I immediately thought of Dodonov. Like, I get it, man. Like, you've made money, you've played for good teams, you get traded, you go to a team that's rebuilding, reshaping its image, and you're 33, 34 years old. You're like, what am I doing here? Like, I've traveled down this path already. Please trade me to a team that has a chance at winning, please. So I understand it's only human nature that maybe your attitude gets a little lessened, and I understand that it's, we want to chalk everyone's Sidney Crosby. Everybody eats, breathes, and shits hockey 24/7. Well, that's truthfully not the reality. Some people are human just like you and I, and they're in a bad environment and they sulk and they get pouty and they become babies, even though they make millions and have made millions over their careers, right? It's human nature. Trade me to a team that's going to do something, please. So I hope he gets his wish, and only because I want the Montreal Canadiens to have less juggling to do. It's enough with the sideshow. Week 9 of the National Football League season. I'll be back tomorrow. I'll have some NFL best bets for you. Thanks for all your comments. Thanks for tuning in on this Saturday morning together. Fun to talk sports together, isn't it? Make sure you like, subscribe, comment. I'll try to comment on as many of these as I can. Don't forget, K-Stop Gas Bar, Highway 138 in Ganawagi. I was just there this morning. Premium fuel at discount prices. I tipped the guy $2 and change, man. He put $40 in my gas tank. I went into the dippener. I got myself, this is what I got myself. Little Mars Bites. I love these little chocolate candies, man. Like 2 or 3 at a time. They're so good. As opposed to the candy bar, I could take a couple of these, put them aside, and yeah, so you can get these at K-Stop Gas Bar and Dippener, cheaper than anywhere else you're going to find them on the island, off the island. It's K-Stop Gas Bar and Dippener. Save yourself the tax. Shop at K-Stop Gas Bar Dippener, Highway 138, and you see the promo code in the car 10. All your pet's needs are met by people who care about your pet as much as you do. Chuck Altman and his staff at littlebearonline.com in the car 10. Use the promo code, save some money. What's this now? Daddy needs to do his part, though. What it do, baby? Thank you, Steph. Thank you for all your comments. I appreciate it, especially Sean Perry from Uzbekistan. We got a Stan in the house today. Awesome. I'll see you tomorrow.